financial argument. Follow us on YouTube.
I had this interview scheduled now for a couple weeks, but with the events that have taken place, I wanted to talk to Joe, JSNP4. Of course, you all know him. He's a returning guest. I want to get his thoughts on what we are seeing now with the current global collapse, but specifically what is going on with Deutsche Bank. And we have him on the line right now. His website is realistnews.net. Joe, thanks for coming on the show with me.
Hey, pleasure to be back. I know we've been trying to get back with each other. You've been busy. I've been a little busy.
Oh, yeah.
No, a lot of events happening.
Well, hey, no time like the present to get into this. Deutsche Bank is at all-time lows this week, and it's looking a great deal like Lehman Brothers did in 2008. I mean, you've seen these charts. I know you have. It's just completely mimicking the same patterns here. But just so many converging events here coming into the fall. And could Deutsche Bank be the last straw that breaks the camel's back here for the global economy?
It very well could be. And looking at it all, it almost seems like that's what they're trying to do. Let Deutsche Bank be the fall guy. I mean, Thursday, at one point, the stock for Deutsche Bank was down I think 10%. And then, it's like Friday, and it's a long weekend over there. They're going to have a bank, banks will be closed Monday. So everyone's, of course, talking what's going to happen on Friday. And I'm thinking to myself, well, the stock could possibly go up to do a fake out like they like to do and then crush anybody that thought that they would get in on that action and short it. Or they can let it continue to fall another 10% or something on Friday, which will then open up the doors for when they finally come back around. I guess the market will still be trading on Monday, even though the bank will be closed. It'll just be more of that. But you never know what the club's going to do. So what happens on Friday? Everyone's waiting for news. What about Deutsche Bank? What about Deutsche Bank? And all of a sudden, some agency out of France says, it was a news agency out of France. There's a rumor. There's a rumor that the settlement that the U.S. is trying to get out of Deutsche Bank, they're trying to fine them for like $14 billion, which has never happened, I think, in the history of too big to fail banks. Do they fine them that kind of money? It's usually a few billion at best. Usually it's, pay a fine of like 500 million. Worst case, maybe 2 or 3 billion. So Deutsche Bank a few weeks ago was like, well, we're going to try to work with the U.S. Regulators in the Department of Justice because we think 14 billion is a little bit, or not a little bit, a lot high. And we think maybe around 3 or 4 would be legitimate. So we're going to try to work on that. So what happens this Friday, just yesterday, which I don't know when you release this video, but we're talking about, Friday of the 30th of September. And breaking news, there's a rumor that it's going to be around a 4.5 or 5 whatever $billion settlement, not 14. Rumor. No meat to this at all. Markets freaking rally. Deutsche Bank stock up 10%, 11%, 12%, 13%. Oh my God, it's doom canceled. Everything's fine. But I'm looking. I said, hold on. The rumor must have turned the truth at this point. It's up 13, 14%. I'm looking. I'm reading the news. Nope. One source says there's a rumor. So here's the other thing. Let's just assume come Monday, Tuesday, that the rumor ends up being true. U.S. regulators, the Department of Justice, we've agreed. It could be about $4.5 billion. That'll be the settlement, and that's it. Well, a couple of weeks ago, they were already saying, look, if this thing gets settled for anything less or anything more than like $3.5 billion, doom is on for Deutsche Bank anyways. It's too much. So even if the rumor is true, it's already too much. And they were saying it. If it's over $3.5 billion, it's going to be too much anyways, because there's other issues they have to deal with, and they've got to set aside money. Not only that, you've got at least 10 panicked hedge funds and big investors pulling out of Deutsche Bank. We don't want to use you guys to clear our derivatives and other stuff. They're pulling out money as well. So you're draining the one thing that this bank needs, and that's liquidity, money. So again, this is just rumors. It's nonsense news. It's what they always do. They had was it Mario Draghi, I think, came out, ECB, somebody else, I think Merkel was talking, and one of the regulators even, oh, yeah, no, everything's fine. They'll be, this bank, we're not going to bail it out. It doesn't need to be. It's fine. Well, when you hear that, history tells us it's the opposite. When you get the big,
are they
the big wigs coming out. What's that?
Well, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think they are going to ultimately bail them out, or are they going to allow the bank to fail? What is the interest in this situation on what to do going forward?
Yeah, it's really hard to call, because just like with Brexit, remember, the UK were leaving the European Union, first country to do so, and it was a big country because they contributed a hell of a lot of money to the European Union, which is funny because as soon as they left, they instantly go after Apple. Oh, you need to give us billions and billions in back taxes that you didn't know before the UK left, but now that they left, we don't have that money, you owe it now.
Wow.
Isn't that funny? But they left, and what did they say? Oh, the markets are going to go down, it's not going to be good, it's going to cause major problems, try to fear everyone into having them not leave, and they left. And nothing, again, doom canceled, economic doom canceled, everything's fine. As a matter of fact, what have we seen in the markets? Markets been rallying. So they can always use these things, though, for the opposite reason. If they want to crash, they'll use the same news. It's this news on Deutsche. Markets rallying. What good news is a rumor? Rumor is bad news because it's fake. It's a rumor. You don't know. And they haven't even agreed. It's a rumor saying we think that's what they're going to do. Not even that it's absolutely certain that they're tidying it up. It's just a done deal. It wasn't even a rumor like that. You think this is what's going to happen? Oh, markets rally, markets rally.
Well, isn't that so typical of the markets just moving on such arbitrary news? These estimates in the markets, and then above or below estimates, and it's still horrible. The market's moving because they're going to not raise interest rates. I mean, such arbitrary news, and yet we get these massive, reactions in the market, and that's, to me, what we're seeing here. Joe, Lindsey Williams, obviously popular economist and minister, someone you've been following for a while now. Is this in line with what he's been talking about, the collapse that's coming here and into the next year?
It is, but at the same time, it is only going to happen when, like we always refer to these guys, the club, when the club decides this is the time, this is the reason, we're going to do it. So let's talk about something else that's kind of tied into this, and that is these 28 pages, the 9/11 report. They're still classified, but they kind of got a little bit declassified. We can kind of see what it said. It essentially says Saudi Arabia, the hijackers were all 15 of the 19 of 9/11. They were Saudi descent, therefore Saudi, and also it implicated them in funding. It showed that the Saudis helped fund part or whatever of 9/11, the terrorists, therefore they're complicit in some respect. And up until now, because they're not listed as a terrorist country, we can't sue them, our people can't sue them for any reason. So this law that they just passed now says you can sue them. And what did Saudi Arabia say a few weeks ago? If you guys pass this law, we're going to dump all U.S. Treasury assets we have and all other U.S. assets that we have. And it's, and then they're commenting, not them, but our media's commenting, well, we think there's probably around maybe $800 billion that the Saudis could dump, and if they flood, if they dump all that on the market, it could have a bad effect on the economy. And I'm hearing this, and I'm thinking, no, it won't. It has absolutely nothing to do. Our TARP fund bailout was $800 billion. What happened? Markets went to rally after that. The Federal Reserve added almost $5.5 trillion to their balance sheet, giving backdoor bailouts to the banks that aren't even included in anything that we read about. Markets rallied. Our $10 trillion debt that we had when Obama stepped foot in office, 9-point-something, $10 trillion, is now nearing 20. Markets have been rallying. So this is nonsense to suggest that Saudi Arabia alone is going to, cause this market crash. But again, timing's everything. These 28 pages have been classified for the last 15 years, since 2001, 9/11. And they've come out like 2 or 3 years ago where, the senators went in, we got declassified, or we went and saw the cloud. We had to sit in a special room where we couldn't take anything with us. We could just barely take notes, just that. And, we've got to declassify these pages. There's stuff in here that we didn't know, and puts a whole different, paint job on the whole 9/11 story, and this has to get out for us to move forward. And I'm thinking, holy crap, what's in there? Well, 3 senators saying that. What did they find? Oh my God, can't wait to see this. Well, 3 years, 2, 3 years ago, what happened with it? So here we are at a very important date every year, end of September, beginning of October, fiscal year ends in the United States. Market crashes historically forever take place during the same time frame, September to October. And we have the Saudis now pissed off because the Senate and Congress came together, and on the 23rd of September, Obama vetoes it. No, we don't want to do that. We're going to veto. We don't want to allow our people to sue them. So he vetoes it. They already had a supermajority anyways to pass it. So what do? Next Wednesday, which was this past Wednesday, we're going to vote on it again ourselves. And we do have the supermajority, so his veto has not been bypassed. This is going to be law. So since when do the Democrats and Republicans get together so much so that they can override a veto of the president? And we're talking about this president, Obama, with his huge, supporting Democrats. And they decided, no, we don't like you this time, buddy. We liked you through the health care fiasco. We liked you through National Defense Authorization Act. We liked you through the defense budget going up when you said it wouldn't. We liked you through everything, buddy. But this one, we're going to screw you on this one. We're going to go ahead and vote with the Republicans. So that
why is that? Why are they so against Obama on this one and tied together with the Republicans?
They're not necessarily against him. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. It is now time to let this play out. So if I'm a fly on the wall looking at this saying, these people don't do this, why the hell are they doing it now? Tells me, well, Saudi Arabia made a threat. We're going to dump these assets. We want Saudi Arabia to dump the assets. We could then use that news. Oh, market's crashing. Market's crashing because Saudi Arabia just dumped. Well, they actually had a little more than they said they did. They had 1.2 trillion, and it's really hurting global markets now. And there's a massive sell-off, and it's the Saudis. So now everyone's going to hate Saudi Arabia all of a sudden. You did this, and I'm sitting back here saying, wait a minute, 800 billion TARP funds, markets rallied, $5+ trillion debt on the Federal Reserve, balance sheet, markets rally. I mean, what the hell's going on? What are you talking about? So it's like they're getting ready to use this for some reason, or else they wouldn't have done it. It's that simple. Saudi Arabia has filled the back pockets of so many of these congressmen and senators. There's no way they would normally just do this unless they're trying to accomplish a goal that they just don't talk about. They pretend not to know, and they do know. I mean, these people know that we've got, we've added $10 trillion in debt in 8 years, the most incredible amount ever in the history of this country. And it's especially considering the short amount of time, 8 years, one president's 2 terms. So I think they understand and they know there's a big crash coming. The dollar's on its way out. We got China, literally, does it happen today or tomorrow, I think? They're joining the SDR, the IMF's special drawing rights currency basket, which is, we were a big part of that. Same with the UK and the Euro. And now, not the UK, but the European Union and the Euro. And then now we're going to have China in there with us. First time ever. And they said something interesting, though. Before China can do that, which they said it has to be Friday, which I never heard any news. I don't know if you have, but they have to disclose how much gold they actually have in order to be a part of this basket of currencies. And I haven't heard the news yet. So I'm like, wait a minute. You guys are supposed to be doing this today or tomorrow. The 1st of October or 2nd of October, when you actually join this basket of currencies, how come I haven't heard the news yet of how much gold you guys own? Because, the rumor, and it's not, I don't think it's a rumor, I think it's truth, is that they've got a lot more gold than anybody has ever suspected.
Well, and they disclosed their gold holdings not that long ago, and it wasn't that much. Not as much as everyone thought it would be. So they
Did
could
they?
still do that
When was
again.
How long ago was that, do you think?
Oh, when China announced that, wasn't it a year ago or so?
Yeah, because I'm wondering if it's, either A, are they going to tell us the truth? This is how much we actually have? Or, it's going to be some number, like you said, a year ago, and it's like, oh, so yeah, it's just kind of in line with, what the World Gold Council says. But, when I'm sitting there looking at every month how much, you see China just pulling in tons and tons and tons and tons of it, and this has been going on for years and years and years. I wonder what it's actually going to be, but the news is saying before they enter this SDR currency, their currency can join that, they have to disclose the amount of gold they have. So I'm thinking, well, if you're saying they did it a year ago, why do they have to do it again so quick?
Well, I was wondering, I think that last time they did it, and there was a lot of speculation on this, is that they were just trying to get their foot in the door, not disclose too much gold, just to be able to, show that, hey, we're not, hedging so greatly against the fiat currency system. But if they do come out and show that, hey, we got a massive amount of gold, hey, I mean, that just makes a statement against what everyone believes, in that the current fiat system is unstable.
Well, here's another interesting thing when you were bringing up Lindsey Williams. He said a long time ago, years ago, the club, they have to tell you what they're going to do to you, to the people, before they do it. It's like some kind of, I don't know if it's some kind of like religious belief, occult thing that they do. He said they have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it, and they put it right in front of your face, and you don't even notice it. He says their favorite method is to put it in the movies. And I'll tell you, over the last several years, I've seen so many things in these movies that they put out, and then they're going to happen in real life. And one of those was the oil rig in the BP oil spill. 2 weeks before that happened, he was told by his elite friend, watch this movie, and it's called Oil Storm. He watched it and said, oh my God, this is exactly what just happened. This is incredible. So he was kind of hinting to him. We knew this was going to happen. How or why, I don't know. But one movie people should go look at, it's an old movie from 1981. It's called Rollover. It's about a stock market crash of epic proportions. The dollar dies. The Saudis, get this, the Saudis are dumping their U.S. assets, and it causes a panic and a sell-off, and dollars are a massive problem for the U.S. economy, starts crashing. It's like, the dollar starts diving. It's chaos because the Saudis sold their assets, is what this movie's about.
Joe,
Rollover is the name of it.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's it. Name of the movie's Rollover.
I haven't seen it yet, and I definitely am going to check it out. I've heard a lot of my guests talk about that one, though, but I'm definitely going to check it out. What's interesting about Deutsche Bank, and this kind of takes me back to Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, is that during the banking crisis, the dollar saw a big surge. And especially if we see this triggered in Europe. I mean, that was kind of something that had happened here in the U.S. and obviously spidered out around the world. But I mean, if the crisis, the epicenter is in Europe, I mean, how much more are people going to run to the U.S. dollar as a safe haven?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, if you look at the precious metal sales, they're still, every year it seems like they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger in sales, both gold and silver, especially silver. So, and this isn't just from people in America buying these things. There's no way that only America is the reason these, they're like breaking records every year. I think that other countries, people in other countries are realizing, the old story of, go to the American dollar, it's a safe haven. When there's trouble in your currency or anything you're investing in over here, go to America, that's the go-to place. I think people are realizing, man, they've got almost $20 trillion in debt now. I don't know if I feel comfortable putting my money over there. This crisis started in America with the banking system over there. Sure, they bailed them out, but look what's happened now. There's still no recovery, especially in those countries. They're seeing it the worst. You look at Greece and Cyprus and even now Italy. I mean, these countries are recognizing we got some major financial problems here. The Italian banks are in deep trouble, just, almost as bad as Deutsche Bank, really. But I don't know. I think some people are still going to do that. They're going to, let's do the old, history says to go to America. That's what we're going to do. And I think that's the whole reason why our dollar went up. the dollar index, it's, at one point it was down in the 70s, I think, years ago. And then the crisis happens, it's back up, and 80, 90, we're, nearing 100, we're in the 90s again. It's like, this is like fiction. Who writes this stuff? How is this even possible? How does a country that had $10 trillion in debt that now has 20 in 8 years double their debt to that extent? How the hell does their dollar go up in value against the basket of currencies when you look at the USD versus euro, it's or the dollar, what they call the dollar index, it's the dollar against the euro and a couple other currencies, heavily weighted by the euro. And it's like, oh, well, it's up to 90. It's the 90 index. It's stronger today or this week or whatever. Versus like 70 something cents, or 70 points on that same index a few years ago. And it's funny because, like, what actually happened? Did we really see like prices affected by this? You're talking 70 something cents to 90 cents equivalent on this index. What's the euro's still stronger than the dollar is, anyways. It's worth more. It's just, to me, it's just like, you look at this stuff, it's just numbers. It's just these people in the club rigging everything. The numbers mean nothing. Just like the news on Deutsche Bank, it means nothing. Markets rallied. They can take the same news, and I've seen this numerous times. You have news of something, markets rally. And then a little while later, the same kind of news, almost identical, just a different place or whatever, happens, and markets are down today because some fighting over in Syria, and the pipeline got ruptured. Well, hold on. Last time that pipeline got ruptured, the markets rallied. It's just, this is all just a book or a movie script, you could say. And we're all sitting back watching this movie play out right in front of us. And we don't know exactly when it's going to end or how it's going to end. For sure, we got a pretty good idea. And there's a lot of people that will try to come out. Like you got Bo Polny, who's just absolutely certain. I know the date, and that the crash is going to happen, and this is the final leg, and this and that. And I'm like, in all honesty, Bo, you don't know, man. You can't, because the club does things when they want to do it, when it fits their timeline. You might get lucky here and there and say, oh, I got this top here and this bottom here, but then it just keeps going on. And it rallies again, and and the poor guy changes his dates a little bit and says, okay, well, yeah, we missed that because of this. And it's like, again, Bo has the right idea. He understands what's happening. He sees what's going to happen. But when you stick your neck out and say, on October 1st or October 2nd, doom is on and this is going to happen, it's like, I don't think so, because now that you said it, the club could just say, oh, we had a lot of people talking about that on the internet. Let's just keep going. We're not ready yet. And then next thing you know, nothing happens. Markets rally some more. Deutsche Bank comes out. Another banking problems come out. Okay, it's now. It's going to happen now. No, doom, just like Friday. Doom averted. Deutsche Bank's back up 14%. All is fine. Truth of the matter is, it's not fine. And this has to be dealt with. Right? This is going to be dealt with. And the way they're going to do it is through these derivatives. And Deutsche Bank has the largest amount of derivatives compared to any other bank. So
you're right.
When the club is ready, that's when they're going to do the trigger. So the trigger is going to me, be Deutsche Bank. If you have the largest amount of derivatives, you're going to be going down with the ship. So you're going to be Lehman Brothers times 5 or 10, and you're going to get the blame for this and whatever. So that's why I felt like maybe that was why the Department of Justice said originally, we're going to fine you for $15 billion. And what if we find out Monday or Tuesday, yeah, you know what, it was just a rumor. Yeah, it was a rumor. Doom is back on. Department of Justice, $4.5 billion. We're not happy with that. We want more. Doom's back on. And, it's when these people want it. Now, Lindsey Williams was saying, have your crap in order by October 1st. But then he kept reiterating, almost like he was trying to give a hint but couldn't, like for some reason, that by January 1st, in other words, maybe I took it this way, as between October 1st and January 1st of 2017 is the timeline that they're really going to do it. I've been saying since last year, I said I felt like we may not see any doom. September's going to come. October's going to come. Wow, nothing actually really happened. And then all of a sudden, elections happen. Hillary Clinton, rigged voting machines, 51 to 49%. Hillary just squeaked it out again. Of course, same number they love to use every freaking election. Donald Trump almost had it. He, Florida was the swing state, or, pick your favorite state. Florida was a swing state, and boy, was it a nail biter, but she egged that one out, and she won. Now let's let the markets collapse. Or if by chance, even if by chance Donald wins somehow, and I don't think that's going to happen because I've been seeing it already. No one's showing up to her rallies over and over. She's going to gymnasiums. I'm just Google mapping the spot where I'm looking at her, event list on her own website. Where's she going to be? Okay, let me look at this place on Google Earth. Let me zoom in. It's a freaking gymnasium. Oh, is it like a boys and girls club? What the hell's going on? You're a presidential candidate. Nobody's coming. So she can't possibly win no matter where she goes. Nobody's showing up.
People don't like her.
When I say nobody, I mean 200-300 people maybe. And there's videos of people inside there saying, oh my God, look at this. There's nobody freaking here. So she can't possibly win. But if she wins, I feel like that's when they'll let loose on the market after whoever wins. And then, again, I think they're going to try to rig it for her. But if not, and by chance Donald gets it. If he gets it, they're going to really let loose, in my opinion, because the president in charge during any type of major collapse or downturn is going to be the one known. You were in charge when this happened, and they'll have partial blame on that particular person. But I felt like if they let the market crash right after Hillary takes office, you can't blame her. She just took office. What the hell did she have to do with this? And matter of fact, you can't blame Barack Obama because he's leaving, and he held it together this whole time. So that's why I feel like Lindsey was saying between October and January 1st, the election will already be over. Well, of course, it's November, so not October, but that's after October. The election will happen. Then we're going to have this crashing take place, and then whoever steps in office can deal with it. I just don't think they're going to allow Donald in any way, shape, or form. I don't think they're going to kill him. I think they'll do what they've been doing the last several cycles. We own all the voting machines. We can rig them. It's just software. I did a video a few weeks ago. I do some software development, visualbasic.net. So I said, you know what? I'm going to pause my video while I was doing it for YouTube. I paused it, opened up my program, and wrote a quick sample of how I could rig it to do something without you ever knowing. You click a button, you think your vote's counted. You click that button, you think it's counted. And at the end, it tallies it however I programmed it to do it. So this is so easy to rig the election. I don't think they're going to have to kill Donald or JFK him, as they say. They'll just steal it from him and say, oh, but it was close, guys. Look, it was 51-49. He almost had it. Try again next time. And the people, I think, this time are going to say, you know what? We used to buy that line. But we have something now, the internet, YouTube, videos, people on scene reporting, and we can get our own access. We don't have to watch your news sites anymore, your mainstream media news. We can see nobody practically is voting for this woman. We see you people lying to us when she's dragged like almost a lifeless body into this van, legs trailing behind her, scraping the ground. Oh, CNN, she stumbled. She clearly stumbled into the van. Excuse me? Her shoe was left behind like, Cinderella. Where the prince are going to grab the shoe and find her and put it, see if it matches. Hey, wait, you dropped something. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The woman, again, we're seeing right through this. You can tell because no one's showing up. And after that incident happened, it was like, whoa, okay. I think a whole lot of people said, okay, wait a minute. There really is something to this woman's health. I know it was conspiracy before, and I know the news media said it was nonsense, but I just saw this for myself on my own two eyes on a very high-quality video. This lady's got a problem, and I think that was the turning point. That just every poll that has been coming out now, practically, even on a lot of the mainstream sites, are saying, Donald's edging her out now. Of course, the only one poll recently after the debate, CNN. No, we still have Hillary won that one. You got this guy, this weird guy. As soon as they were done with the speech, the debate, he's walking up to her podium. He's like dismantling stuff. He's taking stuff out of it. He's grabbing things, opening the door at the bottom, pulling stuff out, kind of hiding it. Then the Lester Holt walks up. He kind of shakes his hand. He hands him off something. What in the hell? What is this? What in the hell's going on? You look at Donald Trump, nothing happens. He walks away from the podium. He waves. He shakes some hands like you'd expect. As soon as it happens, they're scrambling to go to her podium. He's like trying to do it stealthily. He's looking around. I'm like, what the heck? I urge anyone to go back if you didn't see this. Go watch the debate again at the very end. When they both are done and they step away, watch this weird guy come out multiple times. He goes over there, he's hiding stuff in his hands. Lester Holt, the moderator, gets up, goes and kind of sees the guy, and he hands off something to him. What is this? It's like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but this is not normal. And these videos are coming out over and over and over again. Many, 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 many people are seeing these and saying again, man, this she really is crooked, or, there's really some stuff here. So if the elections were to happen today and not be rigged, there would be an absolute landslide, because every non-mainstream media poll that has taken place, and there's been some pretty huge ones. When I talked about my videos several weeks back, and they said we have over 100,000 people. Not this crap you hear on TV. 1,000 people were polled today. 1,000? There's 350 million people in the country. What the hell is this 1,000 crap? So we got 100,000 people, and they show 68 or something percent to Hillary like 2%. And another poll comes out somewhere else. Same, almost the identical numbers. So it's literally a 2/3 difference. There are 2/3. If this election happened, you would hear not 51-49, you would hear 60-something to 30-something. Is how that would probably go. So she doesn't stand a chance. But again, they're going to try, in my opinion, to rig these polls like they always do. They own the voting machines. Every state in this country pretty much has these machines, and there's always a problem. And they're going to rig this so she'll win. And I'm curious to see how the American people deal with it, because I think they're going to realize this time, we know it's rigged. We did it in front of us. We're telling you we want a recount, and the answer is going to be there's not going to be a recount. We had our election officials in every single state check the machines, and the machines functioned as proper. There's nothing to see here. And you're going to say, wait a minute, there's exit polls that also say the same thing we're saying. This thing was rigged. They're going to say, we checked the machines, we did a test, and they work fine. And then the people are going to, do we think the people are going to sit back for 4 more years and say, well, let's now work on getting these machines taken out. Let's go to our elected officials and ask them to, revoke these machines and go back to paper ballots. It's not going to happen. So what choice do the people have? The people are going to have to get a little hands-on and make some change. That's what history says anyway, that the people will be getting hands-on, but you have to get screwed really, really bad first. People have to be hurt. They have to be damaged, whether that's financially or some other way, before they really, really, really want to get up and physically change things. But,
Joe,
maybe Barack.
I was just going to say, there is no way people are loving Hillary Clinton. She really has no charisma. Her lines were totally scripted. I mean, in that last debate. And
the touching of the face, right? The touching of the face. I did it myself, because people were saying, look, go look at her previous speeches. I'm talking recent ones. Go back as far as you want to go, months, weeks, whatever. Listen to her speak, watch the whole thing. She never, ever touches her face. And all of a sudden, during this debate, she touched it like 6 times at key moments where she needed Lester Holt to step in, give her a zinger or whatever. It was, again, you can see that if you have eyes to see. Yeah. Now, back in the day when you didn't have the internet, you wouldn't have been able to go back and watch this again. You may not even notice it happen. I didn't even notice it while I was watching it, and I think I'm kind of an awake guy. I didn't even notice it myself. I'll just focus on the debate and what's her answers. Then you go back and watch it, and you look at stuff. Oh, wait a minute, there's a connection here. She touched her face, and then this happened. She touched her face again, it happened again. She touched her face a 3rd time, and they're doing it again. 4th time, 5th time, 6th. Now we have a pattern, right? So you can go to the internet and view this stuff. So you could, the internet is probably one of the worst things that got created for the club, because we get to see what's really happening, and we don't just have to listen to their mainstream, news or watch on TV and then turn it off and go away.
Yeah. Well, and then even when she fell and she was, getting into the car there in 9/11, it was shocking to me that the Secret Service, the way they acted, they didn't turn around and were like, oh my gosh, can we help you? It was more like, nothing to see here, people. Block the camera. Yep. Let's get her in the car. And that to me was a huge red flag. And, quite honestly, this health issue is a major wild card for her, than something that I don't think that they were expecting. I mean, they could anticipate economic things, maybe some political things, but this health issue, this is something that I don't think they've been anticipating. And it could be a major game changer for her.
I agree. And I think I think they probably had conversations like, Hillary, honey, let's, we love you, you're part of the club, but let's let one of our other, let's let someone else come in. And she's probably like, absolutely not. I waited. When Barack got the nomination, I was going to take it then. And you said, let him have it another term. And you promised me it'd be my turn now. Because remember, when she was running against Barack Obama, when Hillary was running against him, the press was on the airplane, and they're waiting for her and Barack, we want to talk to them and this and that. And the plane is taking off on the runway with them on it. And no Barack or Hillary, and they're saying, what's happening? What are we doing? We're taking off. We're going to meet. We're going to go to. Hold on. We were supposed to be flying with them and touching down with them and interviewing them on this plane. They're not even here. Yeah. They and the press secretary had to scramble for some answer why they couldn't be there. It just so happened to be one of the years where the big club members, the Bilderberg meeting, was taking place, and that is where Barack and Hillary actually went. And it was there where they decided, we're going to give Barack this one again, and Hillary, you'll get the next one. You'll get a good position. She became Secretary of State and all that crap. But you'll get the next one. So in her mind right now, I did what I was told. I played by the club rules. Damn it, it's my turn, and I'm not letting anything get in the way of me becoming the first female president of the United States of America.
That entitlement mentality, she has this entitlement mentality all over her, and you see it even when she speaks, and even when her health issues started to become more frontline news, and she collapsed and all these different things. I mean, you could just see the desperation on her face, like, hey, no, I am not going to let this thing slip away from me. And I just can't stand that woman, and I would much rather see Donald Trump. I know he's probably not your most libertarian candidate, whatever.
You're right.
But I would much rather see him out of the two, Donald Trump all the way. Joe, I wanted to just mention something you said about Polny. So I tend to agree with you. Hard to predict things, but I must say his last call now is on track. And especially with Deutsche Bank, his last call now was that the markets finally peaked Friday, September 28th. That would be the last day. Everything's kind of down from there. We did our last interview on the 27th. And we'll see. It might coincide with his latest prediction. Coincidence or not, his cycle work, whatever. That's where he's hanging his hat on. And I'm very interested.
What day? Did he give you the dates on that one?
Well, he did the interview on the 27th, and he was saying like that. The 27th was the final market peak. So that's not the top of the market, but it's the final top, and everything after that day will be down. So we'll see if we go into October here and into the new year what goes on. But that's his latest call.
Yeah, and what's I like Bo. I like Bo a lot, actually. I just, it's like, because I've had people email me, hey, he said this was on this time, and Joe, when are you going to grill him, man? You talked to him and said some of the stuff he said, and this came and went, and he got it wrong. And I'm like, okay, let's give him a little, maybe he's just slightly off, and then sure enough, it kind of made me appear maybe he was just slightly off, and then so it's like sometimes he's on, and then sometimes he's not quite on, but then I wait a little bit and he's back on again. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to come out. I don't want to grill anybody. First of all, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but I'm not sure what he's looking at for sure. But again, I know what the club has, and the club has control over everything. They control prices of everything. They run all the derivatives. They have all of the futures contracts on the COMEX market. They can pump the stock market up at the press of a button, like Big Squirrel says, the press of the button. They can set gold to thousands, or they can set it down to zero if they wanted to. So I don't know if some of what he looks at is just the club gearing us up for what they got planned and making it look like that. But again, on Friday with Deutsche Bank, everyone's thinking it's going to get smashed. Oh, it's going to do what it did yesterday. Start a 10% drop. Friday's going to come. It's going to crash too. Up, back up 14%. So I don't know. It's almost like there's some group that wants this thing to crash, and then another group, well, let's pump the market back up, temporarily. It doesn't even make sense sometimes. But I think the ultimate goal, markets are absolutely going to crash, but I feel like they're only going to crash when the club says so. And I personally believe they do not want markets crashing before the election, because at that point, if these markets crash after what Donald Trump has said a few times now this year, guys, the markets are going to crash. And he's actually said the markets are going to be going down badly. We're going to have an economic problem. The markets are going to go down. Hillary Clinton has not said one peep about markets like that at all. So if this happens and markets crash before the elections take place, all of a sudden, hey, Donald's going to come out. Hey, guys, I told you twice, at least twice now. Look what we got here. This is what we have to deal with. Now, I got a lot of work to do. I got to fix this, right? They're going to vote him in. I mean, even if they try to rig the votes, it's just more power to say we definitely want Donald, so that when they rig it, people are going to really know there's no way. That's why I feel there will be no market crash until after the elections. That's my opinion. I could absolutely be wrong, but I think that that's what's going to happen.
And it makes a lot of sense, and especially with the way things are going. I don't trust the system, and it's controlled by such a small group of people, and the establishment, in my opinion, is losing control. I know you say that, hey, they control this, they control it. It's always when they allow something to happen, but manipulation can go on so long until they do lose control, because ultimately there's a breaking point for anything. And
I agree. I actually agree completely with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just, I can see it too. These people are losing control. You look at people like, what's his name, Brzezinski or whatever. He's one of these elitist mouthpiece. And he's actually been on record saying it. And Hillary a few years ago was saying, guys, talking to her club, but the public comment was, guys, we're losing the information war. Guys, we're losing the information war. That's just it. Information. Internet, full of it. And it's recording it. So the information is, hey, you're lying to us and you can't cover up anymore because you're losing the information war. You have other sources proving you wrong. So I do agree with you that the club is losing power. And even Lindsey Williams said, these people think they're God. They may think they're God. They may think they have all this control, but they're just human. And they don't always get their way. He says just almost always they do, because ever since I've been knowing them, there hasn't been a thing that they told me that would happen that didn't happen. Sometimes the timeline's put off quite a bit, but it happens. He said, but they're not gods. They're having problems. And right now, as of this year, in his last two videos, DVs he did, he said, look, these guys are having a struggle right now. The guys that I know are very old. One of them's already died a few years ago. I've got another one. He's old. And they, the old get replaced by the younger elite, And he says there's kind of a rift right now between the old and the young. The old want to do things the way. They don't want any problems. They want it nice and smooth. The young, they don't want it nice and smooth. We're taking too long. Let's get over with. Let's just do this already. Get the collapse going, and they're kind of infighting, so to speak. So I think that's just going to, help them unravel themselves anyways, if what he's saying is true. And like you said, you can only do something for so long. You can only, do stuff in the dark. Once the light's shined on it, it has to go away ultimately. The question is when and how soon and that sort of thing. But I think they're going to try to do this. They're going to try to pull their new world order crap on us, one world currency. I think it's going to ultimately fail epically, and that'll be essentially their demise. I think that'll be when they realize we used to have power, we used to be this and that, and we are not anymore, and they're going to be scrambling. Question is, are they going to be so upset about that they take us into World War III? That's something we definitely all don't want, but they may say, you know what, screw it, we're going out with the bang.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Joe, his YouTube channel, jsnip4, his website, realistnews.net. Joe, if you want to share any news about your website or your YouTube channel or anything that you have exciting, please do so, or just let everyone know about what you do.
Yeah, if you want to check me out, I'd say the best place is my YouTube channel, because at least Monday through Friday anyways, I'm doing probably 2 videos a day. There's always something to talk about. When I first started my channel in late 2009 or early 2010, I had to go find stuff to talk about. Today, 2 videos a day isn't enough to talk about what's going on and try to keep people informed. It's some really important stuff. but I don't want to overload people with doom either. So it's like, here's 2 videos a day, but I'm trying to just keep as many people informed as possible. So if you want to, stay informed, check me out on YouTube, Jason F4, or just search for Realist News on YouTube. I'll also come up there.
Joe, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, man. And, we're going to have to do an update here, especially if we do see things unravel the way, so many are saying, going into January. So, again, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Anytime.